By our partners, Solar Dynamics, the most efficient solar hot water system.
You're watching CBC TV 8 in beautiful Barbados.
And a very good afternoon to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC News Break. Well, Barbados is returning to normalcy following the passage of Tropical Storm Matthew. Our Lisa Broom is at the DEM. Lisa, what's the latest there?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. You're right. I am at the Department of Emergency Management, where we wrapped up about a half hour ago a press conference with the Acting Prime Minister, Richard Seeley, who gave an update on the extent of the damage Barbados sustained from the passage of Tropical Storm Matthew. He declined to put a figure to the amount of damage that was caused. He said that the assessors still have to go out in the field. Granted, it's very early days yet. The assessors still have to go out in the field to make an assessment of exactly what damage Barbados sustained. He did say, however, despite numerous reports of damage received by the National Emergency Operations Center, no lives were lost.
As at 8 o'clock, we only had 63 reports at the NEOC. 24 were fallen trees, 7 related to utility poles, 9 reports of power outages, and 9 reports of damage to houses, and 8 reports of flooding across the island.
Mr. Seeley says 4 people used the Category 1 shelters that were opened. He also advised the public that the Transport Board and polyclinics will be fully operational by noon. Most other public services have resumed as normal.
As far as the country is concerned, Barbados is back to a place of normalcy. Our roadways are clear. The airport is operating, has been operating since 8 o'clock this morning. The seaport, cargo was discharged as early as 8 o'clock this morning. Operations are normal there. And indeed, businesses and government departments should be all back out to work.
Now, regarding the fact that the airport has been reopened and the port has been reopened, there were some flights, 2 flights, I think it was, out of the UK, a flight out of the US, and of course Liat. The Acting Prime Minister said Liat would be the most affected out of all of those, just because they have numerous stops, and several of the stops that they're making, several of the islands that they're going to stop in, those were also affected by Tropical Storm Matthew. However, the flights out of the UK and the flight out of the US, they had been delayed and will come into Barbados at a later time, or in the case of the US, AA will put on perhaps a later flight. But other than that, as the Acting Prime Minister said, things are back to normal, slowly with the Transport Board and others getting back on their feet. Things should be getting back to a state of normalcy within the next couple of hours. So that is it for the last time for this system here from the Department of Emergency Management. Back to you, Lisa.
And thank you very much, Lisa. Well, Barbados Light and Power Company crews are on the job working to restore power to a number of affected areas. And this has been confirmed by Manager of Corporate Communications and Government Relations with the Light and Power, Jackie Marshall-Clark.
Our crews will continue their effort to make sure that all our customers are restored today. At present, we are working on customers along the Spitestone routes between Spitestone and Porters in St. James. A large number of customers there are without electricity this morning. Areas including Mullins and Mount Standfast and Western and St. James. And so right now we have a crew there working and seeking to restore electricity to that area. Along with that, or I should say added to that, we have other customers, single customers in some small communities reporting no supply across the island, and today that will be the effort to make sure that all those single customers and maybe small communities who have reported no electricity will be dealt with.
And of course, cleanup efforts are underway in most of the Windward Islands today after a night of battering by Tropical Storm Matthew. One of those islands is St. Lucia. Choice TV's Jesse Leons joins us now live via phone. What is the situation there now, Jesse? Good afternoon. And we seem to be experiencing some technical issues with the audio there. We'll try to get Jesse back on the line a little later. Well, an all-clear notice was instituted in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for normalcy to resume within the country as the tropical storm warning for Matthew was discontinued early this morning. Deputy Director of the National Emergency Management Office in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Michelle Forbes, tells CBC News Matthew's passage did not go without notice as it left one person dead and a wide area of flooding in its wake.
Warning for Matthew was discontinued at 8 a.m. this morning. However, the all clear was given at 11 a.m. because we still had some light to moderate showers and sometimes heavy showers throughout St. Vincent and Grenadines and some slight gusty winds. So the situation to date, we had some flooding last night from mainly in four areas, Vermont, Barrelly, South Rivers. We also had some flooding in and around Kingston, the capital. One death has been confirmed by the police to date, and we have just over 300 persons in emergency shelters. Now that the all clear has been given, we expect persons to start returning home to check their homes to ensure that they're safe, and we expect the numbers in the shelters to decrease. And so we continue our operations at the National Emergency Operations Center, and we will commence damage assessment just after lunch.
Well, St. Lucia, Guadeloupe and Martinique have also discontinued their tropical storm warnings. However, warnings are in place for the Dutch Caribbean islands of Curacao, Bonaire and Aruba. Prime Minister Ben Whiteman of Curacao says parliamentary elections slated for tomorrow will go ahead as planned. The weather forecast for Curacao tonight is for lots of rain and wind. Matthew is set to pass the north of the island tonight. According to the Prime Minister, a final evaluation will be done early tomorrow, and if the rain and wind cause too much damage, the election will be postponed. Well, stay with us. We'll have more regional news and some international stories right after this break.